September 16, 1999. Three daring thieves infiltrate the National Bank of Villaramayo, driven by a plan to seize the vault's riches. Yet fate intervened with two obstacles: a missing bank treasurer and an alert witness who swiftly notified the police. The stage was set for a high-stakes showdown between cunning criminals and relentless law enforcement. When the police arrived at the scene, there were reports of a car fleeing upon seeing their arrival. In that car, two additional thieves were present. The robbers locked themselves inside the bank and took 6 people hostage, including the bank manager, Carlos Chavez, his wife Flora, and the bank accountant, Carlos Santillan. The thieves were Martin Rene, Tito Saldana, Javier Hernandez, and Carlos Martinez. The police negotiator, Pablo Bresci, engaged in discussion with the criminals, while one of the robbers warned him that if they attacked the bank, many people would die. They were determined to either get away with the money guns blazing or end up in jail. Almost 8.5 hours passed during the negotiations, with no significant progress. The police were negotiating with the criminals, who still held the hostages. The only information available was that the hostages were in good condition. The thieves had already taken 30,000 pesos from the public, and it was estimated that there might be an additional 100,000 pesos in the vault. However, they were unable to open it. Finally, at 9 p.m., the thieves released 2 hostages, and past midnight, in the early hours of September 17th, they released a 3rd hostage in exchange for the last key to the vault. However, they still lacked the security key required to access the vault. One of the thieves suggested killing Flora and disposing of her body in front of the police. However, the others decided against it, stating that they wanted to remain calm. They believed that the police would not take any action. A few minutes past 4 a.m., the police had closed off the area, and around 200 troops were waiting outside the bank. Snipers were in position, and journalists were having drinks at a nearby bar, eagerly awaiting any news. After 20 hours, the bank robbers and 3 hostages got into a car and left the bank. Carlos Chavez himself, with explosives strapped around his neck, drove the car. The police opened fire on the car without hesitation. The car only traveled a short distance, lasting 37 seconds. In those 37 seconds, it was hit by a total of 48 shots. They fired approximately 170 bullets, killing the manager, the accountant, and the thief Javier Hernandez. The second thief, Martinez, managed to survive, as well as Flora. By the time the journalists arrived at the scene, the massacre had already ended. Or rather, thanks to the journalists, the massacre ended. When the car stopped, several police officers approached the wounded, ready to finish them off. One of them almost killed Flora, mistaking her for one of the thieves. He aimed for her head until the flash of a camera and the scream of another officer saying, "Stop, it's the lady." And here begins the most unclear part of the story. One of those journalists who rushed to the scene was Jorge La Rosa, who was covering the case for the newspaper. When he arrived, he collided with a policeman and took a reflexive photograph. The camera was analog, so he didn't know who he had photographed until the photo was developed. He had no idea, but he managed to capture a key moment in this case. Minutes after the massacre, the police completely closed off the area and no other photos were taken. When Saldana, the surviving leader, was taken into custody 8 hours later, he was found hanged in his cell. The police claimed it was a suicide. It is worth mentioning that the tactical chief allegedly confessed to giving the order to fire. However, according to him, the order was to shoot only the vehicle's tires. But we know what happened. This is where the photographer La Rosa enters the scene once again. When developing the photo, he discovered where a policeman is seen running with a bag in his hand. That bag was supposed to be stored in the trunk of a patrol car and perfectly matched Flora's description. However, it was never found again. The officer arrested was Oscar Perotti, who was accused of homicide. One of the projectiles from the shots caused the death of manager Chavez, Lastly, the man seen running with the bag in La Rosa's photo is Alberto Castillo. La Rosa stated that after seeing him place the bag in the trunk, the car went in the opposite direction of the crime scene. After submitting the photo as evidence, the photographer was repeatedly threatened with death. Castillo was arrested in 2000 but was released after a few months due to lack of evidence. Despite Flora recognizing the bag she saw in the photo, Castillo's defense claimed that the bag belonged to him and contained bullets for his weapon. Due to all these facts, there were two trials, one in 2002 for the thief and another in 2004 for the police officers. The surviving thief was sentenced to 24 years. The 7 policemen convicted received from 2 to 20 years behind bars. In 2007, the lawyer of Saldana's mother, the prisoner who appeared hanged in his cell, revealed what everyone suspected. Her son was struck in the head, and once unconscious, he was hanged using a very complex knot, disguising it as a suicide. Years later, in 2012, Carlos Martinez, the only one of the 3 thieves who entered the bank and survived, lost his life in a motorcycle accident. Today, all the defendants are free. Since that day, all the protocols for hostage situations began implementing internal regulations. The main focus now is on preserving the lives of the hostages. Do you think justice was served? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time,